Okay, so I am building from let's say from a fact that everybody is well aware of, which is that the knowledge which is produced in Africa is not very audible, at least from what I know, from my experience, from what I know. If you look at the citation trend in our own works as African scholars, our references, our major references, whatever the field of study you take, are heavily pointing towards external sources of knowledge, which is the West. Well, of course, this could be accounted for by many factors, maybe historical factors, economic, but this is, to me, very striking. And as a linguist, this is something that I've seen really enduring, because if you look at linguistics research papers, and this is a study that I conducted, I've not yet published it, I was able to see that averagely 80% of the sources of our references are external. So people out of Africa talking about languages of Africa, which we are constantly citing as references, even though we, as the speakers of these languages, as members of these speech communities, could be in a better position maybe to talk about these languages. So this is something that perhaps most of us would agree on. And this runs ironically with a historical precedence, which is that Africa is a land, is a continent of diversity. And we know from, evolutionary theories that diversity in human behavior is a testimony of how, how resourceful a people have been
your laptop full?
With their environment, in responding to the challenges of their environment. So we could easily see in the diversity, cultural and linguistic diversity of Africa, I would say a mine of responses that our communities, our ancestors have kept providing to the challenges which they were facing. So, but even though we are host to this wealth of solutions, to this wealth of historical experiences, I think we have not harnessed, we have failed to grasp the rationale to take full advantage of these responses and to translate them into nowadays responses to modern problems. So as much as I know, knowledge and science, for that matter, is nothing else that endeavors by humans to grasp with, the rationality of their existence, understanding who they are, in which world they live, in order to provide solutions that occur as a result of their interaction with that world. So maybe this lays the ground for some of the discussions that I intend to lead from this point. So as you can see, I've prepared a very short presentation consisting of 9 slides. And just to warn you, it has started raining here, and every time it starts raining here, power goes off. So if you if you can't see me, just notice, just be aware that maybe power has gone. So I'll try to be fast for that matter. So I'm asking my questions. I'm asking this question. So why is it that, whereas Africa is host to these worlds of experiences, as I've just mentioned, we are still lagging far behind in terms of providing or being part of the society of knowledge, of the knowledge market. And I'm tempted to believe that perhaps we are looking at our world from the wrong end of the binocular. We are looking at our world from an end which has been given to us, which has been presented to us. Just to draw from a common social experience, that is game. Most of our societies have games, traditional games, so they are called. So this is a very interesting citation that a teacher, a French teacher who was teaching in Cameroon in the 1971, and who was a mathematician teacher. So this is an interesting reflection or observation which he has made as a result of studying these, these traditional games. He said, games and particularly Cameroon, and I've put in bracket African strategic games, can help to understand many mathematical notions. Okay, when you look at it, I'm a professor in a teaching school, and I'm heading a department of Cameroonian languages and culture. And as I blame our, let's say, our resentness to embrace our solutions, I am blaming myself as a faculty member, as a head of department, for not being able to instill these dynamics to harness, again, the power of our knowledge. So this is something that I never heard throughout my scholarship. I was never taught, let's say, the logics. I was not taught, I'm being told that my connection is getting very bad. So others tell us about the power of what we have, but we fail to capitalize on it. And if you look at this, if you click on this link, if you copy this link, you will see a very interesting video about the origin. And this is a video made by a very famous mathematician who conducted research about the history of computing, and eventually he ended up concluding that the origin of the computer, which is the binary code, because the binary code is behind the power of computation, of being able to process.
Unfortunately, it seems we will not be able to continue with Ngue because of the network challenge that it might be going through now. So, okay, he's still here, but let's wait a little and see if he's able to join us. If not, we'll just go on with the next thing.